Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. I got a question for y'all. If, say, hypothetically, there was a police officer not only at the entrance of your local supermarket, but walking the aisles and, checking people out. And I mean like an officer, right? So like he's got his uniform, he's got the bulletproof vest, he's got his firearm. You see that guarding a grocery store. Would that maybe make you think that like you lived in a dystopian nightmare state or an authoritarian hellhole, or it's, at worst, the sign of a collapsing society? Well, apparently this happened at not one, but two Atlantic superstores in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Police patrolling superstore locations in Halifax has some customers concerned. Yeah, turns out that in response to rising food insecurity and skyrocketing prices because of inflation, they have taken to actually having armed guards at Atlantic superstores, which are a division of Loblaws, and trust me, we're going to come back to that. But the core issue here, right, is that all of this is happening during a time of unprecedented insecurity. And rather than say maybe slashing their prices because they've had a very profitable year so far, which again, we're going to get to, no, instead it's got to be cops, because apparently this is part of a program that Halifax Regional Municipality Police can actually participate in, where it doesn't necessarily take away from policing duties of the whole corps, but you can basically be loaned out to different businesses that request it, and they have to pay the cost for it. And so it's usually for off-duty cops who want to get a bit more money overtime, So that's kind of what it is as a program, and it's being used currently at Atlantic Superstores. Now, again, thankfully, mercifully, most people who saw this have been shocked. Like, what? I can't believe that this is happening. This is very callous and cruel. And what's going on here? Like, no, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. And that is good. But it just arguably really infuriates me for the fact that it's all part of Loblaws. And here's why that is so deeply infuriating. Loblaws this year has had its most profitable first quarter ever. I am not going to share numbers from last year. I'm sharing numbers from this year, okay? From the first quarter of 2022. Here's the report for Loblaws. Adjusted EBITDA was $1,343 million, or $1.343 billion, an increase of $125 million, or 10.3%. Retail segment adjusted gross profit percentage was 31.1%, an increase of 80 basis points. Net earnings available to common shareholders of the company were $437 million, an increase of $124 million, or 39.6%. And yeah, there's some other numbers there above that people can take if they want to. Either way, it's really bad because it's just corporate greed and profit. So no, Pierre and people in the Freedom Convoy and all other detractors of Justin Trudeau, much as I hate the guy as well, like solidarity on that one, but it's not his fault that things are so expensive, because right here in an earnings report, Loblaws admitted that it's had the best quarter ever due to inflation, and they're just reaping in the profits because of course they can. They can get away with that. By the way, remember when they slashed hero pay for the people who had to work because it was an essential business to get us through arguably the worst part of the pandemic, which is still going on, by the way. But no, now to further safeguard their profits, because, oh no, even though we're making literally most profitable quarter in a while, oh no, people might steal, and so we need to have armed cops just in case people maybe get the wrong idea and try and steal money from Galen Weston, one of the wealthiest goddamn Canadians in this country. And apparently he needs so much more of your money to add to his dragon hoard pile of gold and wealth that he has to have businesses start hiring out or, borrowing cops, again, at public fucking expense, to prevent the potential opportunity of people stealing because they can't afford the food, because they aren't being paid enough, and the cost of living and the cost of everything is going through the roof. Now, don't take as what I'm about to say as any kind of like guidance and that you should definitely go do this, but I'm just going to point out, and for legal purposes, this is just pointing something out. I'm not advocating anything. But if people just kind of literally organized a protest and marched into these superstores and walked out with carts full of food, they literally couldn't arrest all of you. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, this is just absolutely infuriating and also just so incredibly disgusting and heartless and inhumane. While they're boasting on one hand about, look at all the great money we've made, look at our profits, in some cases up by like over 30%. While regular people are starving and struggling to put food on their tables because their wages haven't kept up with the cost of living and the cost of inflation, and these businesses are ruthlessly exploiting that for their shareholders. So they're happily serving them. It's like, yeah, look at all this money. Oh, aren't we doing such a good job? I better get that Christmas bonus. And meanwhile, people are suffering to the point that now, because they may have to consider stealing, because they have been pressed so much by this capitalist system and by governments that refuse to meaningfully act on it in any capacity, they are now having their own elected leaders use, again, their tax money to pay for cops to serve as a deterrent to theft, while these people rake in literal billions in profit in one fucking quarter alone. I can't even put into words how absolutely inhumane and horrifying that is. And the fact that this is actually something that exists and not in, one of the, authoritarian countries, right? Like if this happened in China, Cuba, Vietnam, and there were armed guards, having to protect food, who would say, oh, look at them. Oh, they can't even feed their people. And they're responding with authoritarianism. Oh, geez. Oh, that's why communism doesn't work, folks. And here it is happening in good old Canada, a supposedly Western, democratic, non-authoritarian, a very wealthy and successful global nation. And yet here we are, with armed cops at Halifax grocery stores paid for by public dollars to deter people from maybe considering having to steal because the situation is that dire, all while the people profiting off of this and causing those prices are laughing all the way to the bank. Literally. That is what's bothering me today.